in collaboration with Pingchon Theatre Company, have a performing arts group called Undesirable Elements. They have compiled an original piece for us, so let's show them our love. Undesirable Elements!
That's our country.
She was only 8 years old, and she's the richest woman in the Mediterranean.
But her family's dynasty is crumbling and needs the protection of the Romans.
And she has to rule with her brother, who's only 12 years old.
Murder, incest, family power struggles.
Women can't rule by themselves. They need a man.
Let's make her brother king. He is much easier to control than her.
Send her to exile.
Undesirable elements.
Cleopatra is driven out of her palace in Alexandria.
Julius Caesar, the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, comes to Egypt.
He had declared himself
dictator for life.
Cleopatra sneaks back into her palace to meet with him.
And he helps her defeat her brother's army.
Julius Caesar, you cannot make Egypt province of Rome.
Egypt is a very rich country.
And you need me, as I need you.
Alexandria is the most advanced intellectual and cultural center of the world, with the world's greatest library.
Rome does not even have bookstores.
I'm equal to you, and together we will rule.
Caesar, who was 31 years older than Cleopatra, brings her to Rome as his mistress, not as a prisoner in shackles. But the Romans are not happy.
She is nothing but a prisoner of war. She is a crazy queen, plotting to demolish the capital and topple the Roman Empire.
She uses sex, witchcraft, and cunning to grasp for power beyond what's right for women.
Julius Caesar has succumbed to the wiles of a temptress.
He has lost his head.
Assassinate him!
Undesirable elements!
A few years after Caesar's death, Mark Antony leaves his wife to marry Cleopatra. They live together for 10 years and have 3 children. But to the Romans,
A man in love is a helpless man, painfully subservient to his mistress.
She has enslaved him to her trade.
An educated woman is a dangerous woman.
She is the wickedest woman in history.
Why do they say that men strategize but women scheme? Caesar and Mark Antony cheated on their wives and slept with many women on their travels, but it's Cleopatra who you read about as a seductress.
Who wrote the story? All men, Greeks and the Romans. Today, we need to write our own stories.
Cleopatra was the commander of a chief of the army and the navy.
it was the first time in 150 years that there were no revolts in the Egyptian countryside.
She was a mathematician, a diplomat. She spoke 9 languages, and she was the only pharaoh to speak the language of her 7 million people.
In her time, women had more power than they would for the next 2,000 years.
All those strong women we know, independent, ambitious, educated, who are equal to and even richer than men in some places, who can stand up to bullies. Look back and see Cleopatra, the last of Egypt's pharaohs, who called her shots all the way to the end. She lived and died by her own rules.
I will never be taken to Rome in shackles.
بلدنا في القلوب متشالة ومهما تضيق عليها الحالة ولادنا قدها ورجالة ما نعرفش الهزار قصاد كل الظروف نتحدى ونثبت تاني بعد الشدة وده بسر الدعاء والسجدة ونية الانتصار بلدنا وحبنا باقيلها وجوه عيوننا بنشيلها عشانها الميلة نعدلها حلفنا بربنا على ده سنين عاملين لها خاطر بنبعد عنها ونسافر ونرجع ليها في الآخر وبرضه نحبها زيادة.
(1600 to 1900), the Middle Passage. Slave ships from Europe come to West Africa, to countries known today as Senegal, Nigeria, Ghana, all the Gold Coast, to exchange iron, cloth, brandy, firearms, and gunpowder for human beings. Mostly people who had been kidnapped or taken by force from their homes.
They filled the ships full of human cargo and sailed across the Atlantic Ocean to the New World.
Brazil,
Jamaica,
Guyana,
Grenada,
Curacao,
Trinidad and Tobago,
and the rest of the Americas and the United States.
The human cargo are exchanged for sugar, tobacco, and molasses for rum. They work in plantations that make a lot of money for the slave trades.
The very proud, evil people from Nigeria were known to choose death over slavery.
1725, Jamaica. Queen Nanny of the Maroons leads slave resistance against the British in Jamaica.
She came from the Gold Coast in Africa, today known as Ghana. She decided to escape with her 5 brothers because of the cruel treatment of female slaves.
Together, they organized and united the Maroons, gave them secret shelter and taught them agriculture and how to survive, so they were able to fight off the British for 8 years.
She was a master of guerrilla warfare. And the art of camouflage,
where her soldiers were covered with leaves and branches, standing as still as possible until British soldiers could be picked off by the Maroons.
Illegally rider!
I me say illegally rider! I me say bend down low now! I me say illegally rider! And then you bend down low now! I me say illegally rider! I me say illegally rider! And then you bend down low now! And then you better man you tumble down! I me say illegally rider! I me say illegally rider! And then you bend down low now! And then you better man you tumble down! I me say illegally rider! And then you bend down low now! And then you better man you tumble down! I me say
Armenia. 3 young ultra-nationalist Turks want to create a Turkish Islamic fundamentalist empire.
They tried to eliminate an entire people so they could take over their homeland, the crossroads of Europe, Asia, and Africa.
Undesirable elements. The Armenian genocide. In 2 years, almost 1 million people disappeared.
Extermination orders.
Mass arrests.
Forced marches to the death for women.
Children and the elderly.
The Turks systematically destroyed everything that had to do with Armenian culture.
Most of what survived are precious books which they managed to hide.
For much of the Armenian diaspora, books were a bridge and a form of liberation.
The genocide deeply affects the collective unconscious of Armenians throughout the world today. Turkey has not recognized the genocide and has added great insult to this crime.
If Turkey and the United States recognized instead of denied the genocide, it would start the healing process and give the Armenian people the closure they need.
You have to put a stop to those who abuse power. If not, they will get away with it and do it again.
Later on, in 1939, Hitler told his generals to also get rid of my people during the Holocaust. He actually said,
"Kill without pity, mercy, all men, women, and children of Polish race. Only in such ways we will win the vital space that we need." Who still nowadays talk about the Armenians?
It's a forgotten Holocaust of 6 million Polish people, Jews and non-Jews, and Poland became the first battleground for World War II. The Allies were not able to stop Hitler until 1945.
There are only about 11 million Armenians left in the world today, a testament to their collective spirit and strength.
So marriage and the birth of a child are seen as the happiest and most important events in a person's life. a joyful occasion to bring families and communities together to celebrate.
Langston, Michigan. Malcolm Little, later known as Malcolm X, is 14 years old. He was a top student and the class president, even though his family has been constantly harassed by death threats and firebombs. His father was found dead on the trolley tracks and at the hands of a white supremacist. And his mom couldn't take it anymore and ended up in a mental hospital.
By the time he was 20, Malcolm was in prison. But there, he read books and could get his hands on anything he could read. He also became an expert debater. And he also discovered the Nation of Islam, where it gave him a strict structure of life and a father figure named Elijah Muhammad. And he became one of its main leaders.
1940, Iran. Martin Gregorian is an Armenian whose family settled in Iran, is 6 years old. His mother dies while giving birth to twins.
Within 2 years, I lost my grandfather, then my mother, then my uncle. My grandmother brought me up because my father worked in an oil company far away. I was allergic to all authority except hers. She tamed me through love and punishment. My grandmother was illiterate. She couldn't read to us books, so she made up stories.
Barton, those stars are human souls living in the sky. You can choose your own star. These stars are your guardians. They protect and watch over you to make sure that you do the right thing. They are gifts of God given to each of you when you were born. They are lamps to light your inner world so that you can see its riches. They are the seat of your conscience. They give us a sense of goodness, love, compassion, tolerance, and justice. The soul lives in the heart as a body of light. When someone dies, the soul leaves the body through the mouth. The individual expires like a candle. Now, if someone has lived a good life, he will die with a smile.
Barton Gregorian went from being a starving, penniless boy to the leader of one of the greatest libraries in the world, the New York Public Library and Brown University.
Complete strangers appeared every step of the way to help me. Books were my instrument of liberation. They gave me a new life, a new perspective.
Harlem, New York. Malcolm X was famous for his wish to liberate the black man.
By any means necessary.
Including violence. He believed in an eye for an eye and was considered the opposite of Dr. Martin Luther King, but they worked towards the same goal. And the beginning of his career as a civil rights leader was decidedly non-violent.
April 26, 1957, police attempt to arrest a black man. Johnson Hinton tries to intervene. He is a member of Temple No. 7, headed by Malcolm X.
Stop! You're not in Alabama. This is New York. You don't beat people up like that.
Get out of here.
No.
Move.
No.
You resist an arrest.
No.
Police arrest the men, almost all Muslims.
Help! Our men have been arrested. Call everyone to meet at the precinct.
We demand to see you, Brother Hinton.
There aren't any Muslims here. All right, okay. Talk to him.
After we got to the precinct, after we got arrested, I got down on my knees and started to pray. And the officer hit me in my head with his nightstick.
He's got to get proper treatment. We got to take him to Harlem Hospital now.
Calling all available cops. Calling all available cops. Backup needed, backup needed. Man, what was that? I've never seen anything like it. No one man should have that much power. They were stern in their protests, but was orderly as a battalion of Marines.
We do not look for trouble. We do not carry knives or guns. But we are also taught when one is in trouble, they should be willing to die for what they believe in.
Johnson Hinton filed a lawsuit against the New York Police Department. All three men were acquitted. Hinton received more than $70,000, the largest police brutality judgment ever by the New York jury.
This was the start of Malcolm's career as a civil rights leader, and also the start from his split with Elijah Muhammad's group, the Nation of Islam, who wanted to keep its followers separate from the political process. He wanted to change the day-to-day realities with the police, jobs, housing, schools, and black families. He spoke the language of the masses.
Creole, Creole ballet, Creole comprend. Creole, Creole ballet, Creole comprend. C'est like my man. Creole, 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 Creole, Creole ballet, Creole comprend.
(1964), Africa. Malcolm X visits Africa and the Middle East for the first time going to Egypt, Ghana, Nigeria. He meets with many head of states from around the world, and a group of Nigerian students gave him the name Omowale, a Yoruba word which means the child who has returned.
He makes a spiritual Hajj, or pilgrimage, to the holy city of Mecca in Saudi Arabia. He realizes that a lot of what he learned in the US at Elijah Muhammad's Nation of Islam movement conflicted with Orthodox Islam.
I saw tens of thousands of pilgrims from all over the world. They were of all colors, from blue-eyed blonde to black-skinned Africans. But we were all participating in the same ritual display of unity and brotherhood that my experience in America had led me to believe never could exist between white and non-white.
In New York, his speeches changed from the use of violence to the use of exercising the vote.
Whether we're Christians, Muslims, nationalists, agnostics, or atheists, we must first learn to forget our differences and discuss the points on which we can agree.
It's time now for you and me to become more politically mature and to realize what the ballot is for.
What we're supposed to get when we cast a ballot.
And if we don't cast a ballot, it's gonna end up in a situation where we're gonna have to cast a bullet. It's either a ballot or a bullet.
Don't throw out any ballots.
A ballot is like a bullet.
You don't throw out ballots until you see a target.
And if that target is not within your reach, keep your ballots in your pocket.
A year later, Malcolm, who changed his name to Al-Malik al-Shabazz, is assassinated in Harlem.
Undesirable elements.
(1971), Bangladesh. Mahatma Gandhi worked relentlessly with non-violence to free India from British control, and he did succeed. But Pakistan wanted their own country with their own religion, Islam, not Hinduism, and their own language, Urdu. But Bangladesh, which was called East Pakistan in those days, refused to speak Urdu. We fought a brutal war of independence against Pakistan, and it was a Pakistani reporter who snuck out of the country to report to the world about the mass exterminations he witnessed, and what Pakistani generals called
the final solution.
With the help of India, we won our independence and established our own country with our own language, Bengali.
(1986). Carl X, my grandfather, dies when my mom is 12 years old. My grandpa changed his name when Malcolm X's movement came about, so we could present ourselves as African American, proud of our culture, of people who worked in fields and built this country from the ground up, of people who did jobs other people felt they were just too good for. Many people, like my grandfather, Carl Faison, refused the name of the slave master who gave it to his family way back. They didn't know the origin of their African ancestor's name, and X meant unknown. But Malcolm refused to be defined by the slave master's name. He reclaimed his own identity and heritage, and for him, Black consciousness was linked to the natural right of all people to decide their own destiny. In the end, he connected the fight for civil rights with the international campaign for human rights. He gave his life to make sure that our voices and our votes count.
1996, Australia. After a massacre of 35 innocent people, rapid-fire assault weapons are banned, and Australia makes it tougher to get a gun license. There has been no mass shootings since this law took effect.
2000 New York. Atala Shabazz is Malcolm X's eldest daughter. She is 6 years old when she saw her father gunned down. She meets with Lois Farrakhan on national television 35 years later to confront him.
I did not know if I wanted to sit across from him. I did not know if my heart could handle it. I had to summon the memory of the strength of my parents. I have sisters who are sprung out into this environment as tumbleweed on a hill. We knew to stay silent as a child. I knew it could happen to me, that if I spoke up or I said something, they'd take my life. They'd take one of us.
It is true that black men pull the trigger. We cannot deny any responsibility in this. Where we are responsible, where our hands are part of this. We beg God's mercy and forgiveness. I acknowledge and regret any word that I have said caused the loss of a life of a human being. I genuinely hope, and perhaps a healing can come to Ms. Shabazz and her family.
I thank him for acknowledging his culpability, and I wish him peace.
In Nigeria. My dad came to the United States because he won a visa lottery. My grandma, my mother's mom, takes us all in after my father leaves Nigeria. My grandma raised us and tried her best to feed all 30 of us with the farm vegetables and fruit that she sold at the market. She's an amazing person, and she taught me this song.
It's about a man who's hungry, and he goes to the farm to dig up yams to cook. The yam, you know, the sweet potato. The man wants to take the yam home to cook, but when he digs it up, it begins to cry. Don't dig me. Don't cut me. Don't cook me.
Tameya, tameya. Tameya, tameya. Wawana tamema. Wawana gumigo. Wawana galame. Somya, somya. Somya, somya. Wawana soma. Wawana gumigo. Wawana galame. Tameya, tameya. Tameya, tameya. Wawana tamema. Wawana gumigo. Wawana galame. Somya, somya. The song is really about how in life, no matter what happens, when it's time for us to die, we die. Our kids learned this song, and my grandma sang it to us every night before we went to sleep. My last name, Utiankman, means, let my child survive. In the time of my great-grandparents, when they gave birth to a child, the babies always die. So my great-granddad became frustrated, and he begged to let his child live. And that's how I got my last name. When I grow up, I want to become a medical doctor to help pregnant women deliver babies.
In 2003, Senegal. I visit my mom's country, Senegal, for the first time. I'm only 8 years old. We visit the Gorée Island slave house. You can see the small island from Dakar. It has a door called the Door of No Return. We see the rooms where my ancestors stayed, in chains. They had holes in the walls where hundreds of them were kept and tortured. I felt their pain. I started to cry. You can't imagine how they could have fit so many women and children down there. The rooms upstairs had big areas where the slave masters stayed. As soon as you walked out that door, you would never see Africa again. Think of what it would be like if you walked out of your home and you never came back again. Could it be that this is where my desire comes from? The desire to work in the medical field and bring babies, new life into this world? Those people that walked through that door, they prepared the way for us. Look at what we have today. We are given life. We are given education, choices, opportunities. How can you not take these seriously? How can you take them for granted? We are the seeds that our ancestors planted. Let us grow in their light.
"2010 New York. I put a stop to 5 years of my stepfather's sexual abuse by telling my mom about it. We had to leave our house, my mom, my sister, and I. And I had to leave my school. We had to stay in a shelter for almost a year. Young mom on her own. She needs a little help, got nowhere to go. She's looking for a job, looking for a way out, 'cause a halfway house will never be a home. At night she whispers to her baby girl, someday you'll find your place here in this world. This is your temporary home. It's not where you belong. Windows in rooms that you're passing through. This is just your stop on the ways to where you're going. Don't be afraid, because I know this is your temporary home. I had to do therapy, and some days I still do get upset. But I can't let what other people do to me stop me. I have to say, this happened. I wouldn't let it control my life. Only you could decide what your future will be. You have to say, this will be on me, but I will not wear it. Only you can decide what your future will be. And it starts by breaking the silence.
"2010, Puebla, Mexico. I am 15 years old, and someone says, you know, you don't look Mexican. So I asked my mother to tell me the truth about my real father, who I didn't know growing up. Back then, my mother met a man, and she ended up unconscious against her will one day. This man told her to get rid of me, but my brothers and aunts said no. After I heard this story, I felt ashamed, sad, and intimidated, being a child of rape. But now, when I see how my two brothers raised me, and how my family made me feel welcome and appreciated, I feel I have a reason to do something with my life. Suffering has been passed down from generation to generation. We come from a poor place. Lots of people had to migrate to make a better life. But look at us now. We have succeeded in life. My mother said,
Quiero verte terminar tus estudios.
I want to see you finish college.
Que tengas tu propia oficina.
Have your own office.
Con un portafolio.
With a portfolio.
Un diploma en las manos.
With a degree in your hands.
En vez de que estés con alguien,
instead of being with someone
que cree que el lugar de una persona es en la casa con los hijos,
who thinks a woman's place is at home with the kids,
limpiando casas ajenas por un salario mínimo,
or cleaning people's houses, receiving the minimum salary.
Es difícil ser madre soltera.
It is difficult to be a single mother.
Con dos trabajos.
with 2 jobs.
Pero es aún más difícil cuando no tienes a quien te apoye.
But it's even harder when you have no one to support you.
Consíguete un buen trabajo.
Get a well-paying job.
Para que no tengas que depender en un salario de un hombre.
So you don't have to depend on a man's salary.
No quieres un hombre que se sienta superior.
You don't want a man who feels superior.
Sino a alguien que es tu igual.
But someone who is your equal.
Pon nuestros nombres en alto.
Make our names go high.
Haz algo por ti misma.
Do something for yourself. And I promise you, Maria Lopez, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
January 25th, 2011, Egypt. Tahrir Square. Tahrir means
liberation. And young people lead the non-violence revolution in Egypt.
For the first time in 30 years, poor, rich, Muslim, Christian, the educated, and the illiterate unite and speak to each other.
Today, the only way to move forward as a country would be for the new government to include all the rights for all Egyptians, the many different kinds of people who united in Tahrir Square.
I'm tired of walking around, always keeping my mouth shut. That's why I'm here today. I'm gonna let the spirit out, but I'm afraid of what they might think. They remove me from my kingdom. I am the missing link. Why do my stories always turn into mysteries? And then his story is turned into history. Is it because I belong in a facility, or is living considered a curricular activity? That's a shame, see, how y'all shame me. But I blame myself too, so I don't blame thee. You can call me Pharaoh or even King Louis. I was born for greatness since day one. My parents knew this. The truth is in your face, yet people won't pursue it. So I wonder, does that make you ignorant or does that make you stupid? Don't take offense. Why you look intense? You're only fighting yourself. Call it self-defense. If it don't make dollars, then it don't make sense. Still looking for my 40 acres with the fence. I hustle hard in school. You think this life makes me weak, but it is my fuel. Listen up, cause these words are hard to comprehend. I break rules that you dudes can't dream to bend. I may be 15, but I feel like I'm 40. Even as an adult, my mother will call me shorty. Better late than never, but never late is better. That's why I'm working hard now so I can make that cheddar. Laying here in this hospital bed, staring at the sheets as they're covered in red. 2 hours ago, I was filled with hot lead. 2 hours from now, I know that I will be dead. The slipping away of power like a withering flower. Now I realize that gun made me a coward. In the end, I look for friends. And what do I see? My mother sitting down, staring right at me. I asked my mother why, as tears come to my eyes. She said, I ain't gonna lie, it's your time to die. My child, it's alright, even men can cry. You've always been an angel, so now it's your turn to fly. Fortunately for me, that wasn't my path. I'd rather go to school and get good grades in class. Life in the BK has been hard knock, but I won't stop. I'ma get my props as I fly to the top, the apex, the peak. My strong rhymes and make your mind seem kinda weak. You hear my heartbeat, synchronized to this beat, but this beat reminds me of the sounds in the street.
Newtown, Connecticut. 26 children, a principal and psychologist are shot to death in 3 minutes in a massacre at Sandy Hook School. It is the 31st mass killing in the United States since Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado in 1999. A few months later, David Wheeler, who lost his son Benjamin in Newtown, said,
Thomas Jefferson said, governments were instituted to protect our inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These words and their order were no accident. The liberty of any person to own a military-style assault weapon and a high-capacity magazine is second to the right of my son and his life, and the right to all those children and those teachers. The right of your children, the right of us. Let's honor the founding document and get our priorities straight. Let's liberate our streets from gun violence.
an amazing performance. Thank you to the Undesirable Elements. Okay, so before we get ready to go to the morning workshop, we would like to take a minute to thank all the guest speakers here today. They took the time from their busy schedule to be here today, so would you guys please give them a round of applause?